Alex, you want canned cranberry sauce, or should we make it ourselves?
That's my mom. She didn't know about Instacart's family carts, so...
Want to make pecan pie this year, yes or no? And how many boxes of stuffing?
So I told her we could just share a family cart and add all our holiday favorites to the same order without losing our voices or our sanity. It's so much better.
Alex, can you get my holiday village out of the attic?
Baby steps, Alex. Baby steps. Shop Instacart this holiday season and enjoy free delivery on your first 3 orders. Service fees and terms apply.
Alex?
What's up? I'm Chris DiStefano, a.k.a. Chrissy D, a.k.a. King Gay. You're listening to the Bay Ridge Boys, History Hyenas.
What's up, everybody? What's up to the matriarchy out there, across the country, across the globe? What's up, trash monkeys? What's up, true blue trances, true blue gazes, and regular old straightsies? How you guys doing? This is Yannis Pappas, here with Zach Isis, and Trash Monkey, the Staten Island hyena, is back, taking over the mic for our missing matriarch again, Chrissy Cackles, Chrissy Pseudo-Tit, True Blue Trans, the #1 highest ranking female True Blue Trans hyena, Chrissy DiStefano, who's in Texas, Addison, Texas, doing comedy down there. He's telling jokes at the Addison Improv down there in Texas. So we're missing Chris. Of course, he could call in, but of course, I just called him and he's not picking up the phone because he's probably jerking off in his hotel room for an 8th time. The kid's really got problems. I mean, he goes on the road, all he does is text me and just tell me about how he can't do weekends. He's such a New York kid that he can't be on the road. His last text to me right now was... he goes, yeah. He goes, yeah. It was a lot of yeahs, he told me. Yeah. And he says, yeah. He just texts me, yeah, all the time. Yeah. And he goes, it's good to travel, but I'm a Brooklyn kid. And the main goal is to do one-nighters. The way we get there is the party. History Hyena Tour. And we do that. That's what we got to do. So yeah, that's mine and Chris's goal. We want to leave New York as little as possible. So you make us big in your town or whatever. We bring Zach. We go out there. We do one-nighters, History Hyenas live podcast. We'll do a little stand-up, and then we fly right back to the trash burrow that we hide in. That's what we want to do. So here's the deal. Hope you enjoyed the last episode. Homo sapiens sapiens are wild. I didn't even know it. You didn't even know it. Zach didn't even know it. That we are actually Homo sapiens sapiens. So, now that we cleared that shit up, let's move on to this idea that I told Chrissy and I think would be great. Listen, we're trying to grow this thing. So far, I gotta say, we're doing pretty good, aren't we, Zach?
I think so, yeah.
How are the numbers?
Numbers are rising every day.
Every fucking day, numbers are rising. All right, this is a movement. This matriarchy is a movement. So this is what we want to do.
Great shirt, by the way.
Thanks, man. Bay Ridge Boys shirt right here. This is the test print. And I just put it up on the Bay Ridge Boys Instagram. You can see the shirt. Well, they're going to be for sale soon, as well as a whole bunch of other shirts. We're going to have plain and simp shirts. We're going to have maybe a sea captain shirt. Maybe a coyote shirt. Definitely a matriarchy, probably pseudo-tit. Who knows? We're going to get creative. There's going to be a whole bunch. But here's the idea. In order for you guys to help us grow, here's some incentive we thought of, me and Chrissy. If you can prove to us through DMs or however you want to prove it, that you have recommended 5 people to listen to the History Hyenas podcast, right? If they DM us or when they add us and they say, hey, we were recommended by boom, we will take note of Boom being your name. And when you hit 5, guess what we're doing, cuzzy? Guess what we're doing, cuzzy, wuzzy, fuzzy, was a bear? We are going to send you a free fucking Bay Ridge Boys t-shirt, or when we get the other merch, whatever one you want, right? We recommend the Bay Ridge Boys because look how dope this fucking shirt is.
That's a dope t-shirt.
Yeah, you
right
probably
there.
look. Can they see it in the camera?
Yeah, they can see that.
There you go. Yeah. You see how dope that is? So we're going to send you a free one of these. And also, we're going to send you a free signed poster of me and Chrissy D in swim shorts and Crocs drinking smoothies. Signed by me and Chris. How? I mean, does it get better than that?
That's tempting.
That's pretty
tempting.
good, right? You want to recommend 5 people and you're on the podcast.
I've already recommended 5 people.
So I think we owe you a signed poster in Crocs and fucking swimsuit.
But I want that. I want the picture of you guys from the sports show.
Oh, when we're fat, the fat
Yeah,
us?
yeah.
You want that one signed? Yeah. Yeah, they're still playing that show. You know what's funny is like they played that show in New York so much and they still play it so much, but me and Chris look like we're wearing fat suits, so I don't think anyone thinks it's us when we're walking down the street, you know? Because this show plays all the time on MSG. MSG is, if you don't live in New York City, MSG is Madison Square Garden Network. It's where the Knicks games are on. It's a New York, I guess it's New York State probably. Yeah, it's Time Warner Cable. I don't know. It's a big local sports channel owned by Madison Square Garden. And me and Chris had a sports show on there in 2013, and they play the shit out of it. We talked about it on the cast. We don't get any money. So, recommend it to your fucking friends. Right, Trash Monkey? Yeah, that's right. That's fucking right. I'm in the union. My name is Trash Monkey from Staten Island. I do good out here. I got my mother living in the basement, and my grandmother's living upstairs. I made a good life for you, Marie. My name is Trash Monkey, the fucking spotted hyena there. Thanks, Trash Monkey. So, recommend it to your friends. And soon you'll have shirts that you can buy. And we appreciate it. And also, again, join our Bay Ridge Boys Instagram. Join it up. It's Bay Ridge Boys on Instagram. You click on it, boom, History Hyenas Podcast. One and the same. We are one and the same. There's a podcast, there's a web series. New web series episodes coming up very shortly. We've been a little bit on hiatus because we've been building up this podcast, which is now up and cooking. We are cooking with gas. So join up on that. Join up on our little Facebook group, Bay Ridge Boys. So Bay Ridge Boys, just fucking search 3 words, Bay Ridge Boys, and you will find us on Facebook. You'll find us on Instagram and become a part of the matriarchy. Somebody sent me a nice little HHFOD on Instagram, History Hyena Fact of the Day. If you want to teach us something, hashtag it HHFOD and tag Bay Ridge Boys on Instagram, or you can always DM us. It's not that hard to reach us, but hashtag it HHFOD. Someone sent me hyena clans are called cackles.
That's what the clan is called?
Yeah, look that up. Double check. Because, I don't know if these fucking people, these fans sometimes are tricking us. But it's actually called a cackle of hyena. When there's a lot of hyenas, it's called a cackle of hyenas. They're called a pack. They're sometimes called a pack or a clan, all right? But how about when there's a lot of them? A lot of hyenas called a cackle. Let's see. This always takes long because Zach types with 2 fingers. I mean, you didn't.
A group of hyenas referred to as a
cackle. How fucking wild is that? Yo, that rolls off the tongue. A cackle of hyenas.
That's extremely fitting. A cackle of hyenas.
Yeah. How many makes it? When does it go from a pack or a clan to a cackle? How many hyenas constitutes a cackle of hyenas?
I think it's like subjective.
It is, right? How fitting is that with hyenas too? Just chaos. You can call them a clan. You can call them a pack. You can call them a cackle. I'll tell you what. If you see 3 or more of them, you're in fucking trouble. Look at that guy. The spotted hyenas, by the way, are the more brutal ones. They're kind of the wild ones. Then there's those other ones. They look like punk rockers. I'm not really as interested. We're not really as interested in that other hyena type. The spotted hyena is where it's at. That's where all the fucking murder happens. That's where all the chewing of the ears happens. Yeah, they chew each other's fucking ears up. So we had a wild week. We crossed our signals during the week about getting into the studio. We were supposed to all be together. Chrissy was in town this week. I was in town. He was in town. And we were supposed to record this week, but the studio was booked the time we booked it. It was a whole mess, and guess what happened? It was the episode where Nora Cupcakes shot out to Nora Cupcakes. Let me make sure that's exactly what the name is. It's Nora for sure. And it's when I posted it on our Instagram, the cake they made, I got a couple of DMs. Yeah, Nora Cupcake Company, to be exact, on Main Street in Middletown, Connecticut. Wow.
And I'll add a picture so they can see the cake because it was really awesome.
Yeah. Can you do that?
Yeah. There'll be a picture right there so they can see the cake.
We got to put it on the Patreon, too, because those people, I put it on the Instagram, and I've put it in the Facebook group, the Bay Ridge Boys Facebook group. But our two lovely ladies from Nora Cupcake Company fucking drove down from Connecticut. I mean, that's a good 2.5 hour drive. They brought us, look at that thing. They brought us, finally, the History Hyena Pseudo Cake. I didn't think it was possible. I didn't think it was going to ever happen. Chris is wild. He made that suggestion. That's a suggestion only someone who has one normal tit would ask. Can someone out there bake us a cake? I was curious what it was going to look like. These ladies from Nora Cupcake Company, Nora Cupcake Company, decided not to do the pseudo penis, but they did an actual. It's like a wedding cake. Doesn't it look like a wedding cake?
Yeah, it's way over the top, more than I thought would happen if someone actually made it.
Yeah, it is detailed as fuck. So we'll post a picture if you haven't seen it, but
and I've used both of those pictures on the bottom there as the picture on the computer screen.
Oh, really? Those two hyena pictures?
Yeah.
So what they did was, on the bottom, what do they call that? The cooking sheet or whatever, in sugar writing, red, matriarchy. Then they got dripping blood coming down, and then a whole sugar poster of our logo with me and Chris's faces superimposed on those hyenas. And their creative interpretation, they have two pseudo penises wrapped around the bottom layer and the top layer of the cake. And one pseudo penis is for Chris's penis. We're both true blue transes. We're both matriarchs, high-ranking matriarchs. So they gave me and Chris a pseudo penis each. So there are two pseudo penises on that cake. And then there's hyena ears on the top of the cake.
How did the penis taste?
We didn't taste the cake. We tasted the ears. So we made a video. I think Chris posted it on his Instagram, where me and Chris actually at the same time chewed the ears. The way that hyenas usually haze each other, we just went in at the same time and chewed the ears. The ears, I'll be honest with you, were 100% straight fucking sugar. I mean, I could not feel my foot for 3 days after fucking chewing that. And they brought us cupcakes because they're famous for the cupcakes, and the cupcakes were delicious. So check out the cake. Here's the detail, though. Look at the blood dripping down. And then on the top there, you can't tell, that's gnats. They did a whole bunch of gnats because when hyenas are in the wild, there's a whole bunch of flies that fly around their dirty heads. And the inside of the cake, when you open it, looks like the entrails that they like to eat. So they went all out.
They put a lot of work into this cake.
Oh my God. Did they put a lot of work into this cake? They put a lot of work into driving it down. They're huge fans of the podcast. We appreciate it. They found out about us through the Guys We Fuck podcast when Chris was a guest on it. So they became a fan of us. Shout out to Guys We Fuck podcast. Those girls are doing their thing. And so thank you, Guys We Fuck podcast, for hooking us up with your fans, Nora Cupcake Company, and they drove all the way down. And fucking, we weren't even doing a podcast. That's how wild we are. We deserve to all get driven up to Poughkeepsie to be fucking put down. There's a reason why we're pieces of garbage and we're trash monkeys bad. Because these girls came all the way down. We knew they were coming down, and we had the time wrong. Probably mostly your fault, no? Whose fault was it?
Yeah, it just got overbooked in the studio. Some people had to go longer. Some people, like, there was a random show because they were also shooting downstairs.
Yeah.
So there's a show that's down there that had to move up here.
It all got
wild.
fucked up. Yeah,
Wild.
yeah. They were shooting Crashing here.
Yeah.
On HBO at the time. It was a real mess. Probably the worst day that they could have came down. But Chris made the arrangements or was talking to them, and they told him they were going to drive. So we apologize. They couldn't have been too nicer. Young ladies, fucking love you guys. Thank you so much. So much. And we're going to invite them back down. And they said they were totally understanding. We made videos with the cake, and then they were like, you know what? And I was apologizing over and over and over again. The cake, by the way, is still in the freezer downstairs, so we may be able to take a bite of it next week. It's not going to taste good. It won't be fresh because I think it's in like a beer freezer. The cake is fucked. But... But they said they will come back down again another time and bring us another cake.
Another hyena cake?
Another hyena cake.
Man.
So that we'll all sit down and be able to enjoy. So, wow. I can't believe it happened. I don't know what Chris is going to request next.
Yeah, he said he said he's got something ready.
Yeah, he's gonna next request is gonna be like, we want a helicopter built from scratch using all the same anatomical engineering of hyenas.
We should make it a whole episode, like the decision back when LeBron first moved. We should make it a whole episode, the request
of what his new
his new request.
I like that. Chris's new request. We'll do a whole thing and see what it is. This took a couple months.
Yeah,
but
a lot speeds up.
A lot shorter. I mean, how long? I mean, he started asking for that cake only a couple episodes in. What are we up to? 23 now?
This is 24.
This is episode 24. So he probably started. So it did take a while. I mean, he probably started asking for it somewhere around like the third episode.
Yeah, like episode 2.
Yeah. So I mean, it was a while. We're talking about maybe 5 months or something. But he finally got the matriarch cake, and they also brought us fucking 12 cupcakes. Wow. So, you know. None of that stuff got eaten. Me and Chris had a cupcake each. Unfortunately, next time, you know what we'll do? We'll make sure to have them come down during the You Know What Dude podcast. Because, so Bobby can take down. Those cupcakes won't go to waste.
He might not eat them in here.
Yeah, he'll be like, you know what? Yeah, I'm on a diet, dude. But then, he'll eat them in the car. Yeah, in the dark. He'll binge like 10 of those cupcakes. So, thank you again, Nora Cupcake. I can't believe it happened. And we hope to have you back down again soon. So, we got a lot of nice, fun animal videos for you. We got a nice topic for you with switching gears. Me and Chrissy, we're going to do it this week. Hopefully, he'll call in. Probably not, because, you know, what's more important than his own podcast that he just even texted me and said he wanted to get it so big so we could tour with. Him and Sergio are probably fucking boxing. He's got Sergio Chacon with him, our good friend, funny comic who's opening for him. And they go work out a lot. I like to sit in the hotel room and just watch SportsCenter over and over again when I'm on the road. Chris likes to go out and see the city, but he's in Addison, Texas. What the fuck is there to see in Addison, Texas? I've never been to Texas, though. I want to go to Texas because I just want to see what it looks like when people are just open carrying on the street. I just want to sit down at like a Wendy's or a Cracker Barrel and just look across and see a dude with a gun on his belt, like a beeper in 1999. Just on his fucking belt. Be like, oh, that's scary. Something happens, something, you know, fight breaks out here. Somebody's getting shot. But anyway, we were talking this week a lot about Donald Trump. Look, being from New York, Donald Trump being president, it's like You know what it reminds me of? Christian Finnegan, this comedian, has a funny joke. He's not from New York, but he's been here a long time. And Donald Trump is kind of like a fixture in New York. He's kind of like he's like a caricature of what a rich person is. And he's like just been sort of a gossip column. He's been fodder for like gossip columns and, Page 6 News forever. He's just kind of like a fucking celebrity. Before The Apprentice, he would never have been elected president if it wasn't for The Apprentice. Like, the rest of the world kind of knew who Donald Trump was, but that's who really, The Apprentice is really what put him on the map with Middle America and nationally. That was a hit show. So you got to thank Mark, was it Mark Burnett? Is that his name? Mark Burnett. Yeah, Mark Burnett, who's the producer of that show. Jesus, what a psychopath Mark Burnett is. He's got to be a psychopath. Kid was a nanny. He started as a nanny in Los Angeles and somehow worked his way up to be one of the most powerful people in Hollywood with the most fucking stupid fucking reality shows. Can you imagine? Only a psychopath would walk in to a producer's office. His first big hit, Survivor, Mark Burnett. Imagine going in and pitching that, be like, all right, listen. This is what was going on in his brain. He's like, it'd be great if we put a bunch of people on an island, no food, scarce resources, and see which ones die. What do you guys think? And we'll film it. And the ones who are about to die, they lose. And the one person who survives is our survivor. What do you think? Let's see if people can almost die for your entire... that show is this close to the Hunger Games. And that was a long time ago when it premiered. So he's the mind behind that. He's the mind behind The Apprentice. Can you look? What else did Mark Burnett do? Because he's fucking really the one responsible for Donald Trump's presidency. Trump! Mark Burnett. I think it's B-U-R-R. Yeah, Mark Burnett. Boom. The Apprentice. There he is. Look at it. You can tell. Yeah, look at that fucking cold eyes.
He's got that look.
Yeah, look at his eyes. Look at him in that picture especially. That kid has no empathy. None. He is not an empath. He's not a neurotypical, as they call him. So he did The Survivor. He did The Apprentice.
Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader?
Are You Smarter Than a Fifth? Oh, Shark Tank. Fuck. That guy's good.
The Voice. He's got his hand in like everything.
Yeah, Jesus. And he started as a fucking nanny. He's from England. And he moved to L.A. Wow. He does other shit too. So
My Dad Is Better Than Your Dad was
Yeah.
another one of his hit shows.
Is that a hit too? Yeah. Guy's a psychopath. Let's look at his history, how he started, because it's so funny. In 2004, he was one of the most influential people in the world. Time called him. Yeah, he's a powerful dude. He's
also named Philanthropist of the Year.
Yeah, they do that for the tax breaks. You got that much money, you get fucking sweet tax breaks. Get the IRS to look the other way while you're hiding all your money in Cancun. I'm sorry, not Cancun, Aruba, whatever fucking St. Martin, whatever island, tax haven, whatever the latest one is. But in 1982, Mark Burnett emigrated to the United States with his friend Nick Hill. Nick Hill had already come there a little earlier and was working as a nanny and a chauffeur. Wow. So his buddy got him a job as a nanny in Beverly Hills. This is fucking premeditated psychopath.
He was also in the Army before all that.
Yeah, he was a stone cold killer.
Similar to the Joker.
Yeah, and he saw action in the Falkland War and Northern Ireland. This guy's killed. He's a wild dude. He's a wild dude, Mark Burnett. He was enlisted in the British Army, and he was a section commander in the parachute regiment. From 78 to 82, he served. So he came right after murder. He served from 78 to 82, saw action in the Falklands War and Northern Ireland, and then was like, you know what? I want to go be a nanny. Who hired this fucking killer as a nanny?
To watch their children.
Watch your children. This guy just probably saw major combat. So his buddy got him a job, even though he had no experience, and he was a soldier about 3 days before this, and so this person really liked having the nanny and security because he was a tough guy. So whoever hired him liked that he could watch their kid and also maybe kill it, if he had a war flashback. So he liked the fact that whichever family hired him, it was a family in Malibu. They don't say who. He was taking care of 2 boys for $250 a week. Wow, not a lot of money. And he was eventually given a position in the insurance office owned by the father of the 2 boys. So he fucking charmed. Usually the nanny fucks the father. This nanny got a promotion and started working for the father. And then 2 years later, he rented a portion of a fence at Venice Beach and sold T-shirts. This kid's a hustler for $18 each.
Yeah.
During the way he hustled. Realizing he made more money selling T-shirts, he left that job. And then in 91, he and 4 others joined a French adventure competition. So they were on some show.
They were either on it or they produced it, but that is like the original Amazing Race. That was like the first adventure competition type of show.
And it was French. In France? Was it in France?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then afterwards, that's when he saw an opportunity in doing something like that. He purchased the format rights and bought a similar competition, Echo Challenge, to America, and he launched Burnett's career as a television producer. How, though? I mean, how the fuck does that happen?
I was wondering.
Yeah.
They leave out the middle ground, kind of.
I mean, his fun must come from some fucking crazy rich family or something. Like, where do you just get those connections? It's
T-shirt money?
Would you make enough money making T-shirts that you were able to buy the rights to a fucking successful TV show and air it in New York? I mean, how did that happen? Who are you fucking? Who are you blowing? Who are your parents? That doesn't just fall out of the sky. So how did that happen? And then he went on to make Survivor and The Apprentice. So it's really Mark Burnett is really the reason, because nobody would really know who Donald Trump was, really. I mean, and like I said, Christian Finnegan, he's a very funny comedian in New York. He had a joke about Trump that I thought was very funny, because he's been living in New York for a long time, even though he's not from New York. And he said, Donald Trump is like... it's like as if the naked cowboy became president. You know the naked cowboy?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like he's kind of like the naked cowboy. He's just always been around in like gossip columns, and like he's this cool kind of kitschy billionaire. It's like fucking Donald Trump sitting in his gold throne up there, and his so it's a wild thing that Donald Trump became president, and pretty much unprecedented. I mean, I don't know if there's ever been a reality TV star, because that's what he really is. Is a reality TV star. He's more that than he is like a real true billionaire. He doesn't own most of the properties that his name is on. He licenses his name out more like an athlete. It's like Michael Jordan's Steakhouse. When you go to a Trump hotel, it's because he's a celebrity. He made himself into a celebrity. The thing that he was really good at is being sort of a personality. He's kind of like a wrestler in real life. He's kind of got the personality.
He's got the charisma.
He's got the charisma of like a wrestler. It's almost. Can you imagine if Ric Flair was president of the United States? It would probably be a lot similar to what it is now. I don't see how it would be different. He'd be going fucking...
Just cutting promos and yelling woo.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, Donald Trump, basically, every time he talks, he's cutting a fucking promo.
Yeah.
I mean, the last tweet, if you go through his tweets, they're like fucking wrestling promos. His last one, where he was... can you pull up Donald Trump's tweets? His last tweet, inconceivable... It's inconceivable that the government would break into a lawyer's office early in the morning. Almost unheard of. Even more inconceivable that a lawyer would tape a client. Totally unheard of and perhaps illegal. The good news is that your favorite president did nothing. Woo!
That's right, brother.
Yeah, I want to do it in a macho savage. Inconceivable that the government would break into a lawyer's office early in the morning. Almost unheard of. Even more inconceivable that a lawyer would tape a client. Totally unheard of and perhaps illegal. The good news is that your favorite president did nothing wrong. Macho Man Donald Trump. Yeah.
That was a pretty damn good. You practiced that. That was a good Macho Man.
I used to do a good Macho Man impersonation. Haven't done it in a while. Well, that's what it is. I mean, look at him. All of these are promos. The NFL national debate is alive and well again. But believe it, he has exclamation. He's the fucking president of the United States tweeting with exclamation points.
I like that the exclamation points is what threw you over the edge.
Yeah, I can't believe it. Isn't it in contract that players must stand at attention, hand on heart? The $40 million commissioner must take a stand. First time kneeling out for a game. Second time kneeling out for a season. No pay. Oof. So, he's fucking wild. Never before in the history of this country. I don't know if we've ever had a president who had zero public service experience. Can you look that up? I think that's the unprecedented thing about it. An actual president, head of the executive branch, commander-in-chief, with zero public service experience. I'm talking never been at least on some city council or state senator or something. 5 presidents have never been elected to public office before becoming president. Okay, so I was wrong.
Oh, well, this is political experience.
That's
so,
what I meant.
Yeah.
That's what I meant. You know, public service, you know, public office.
So there have been 4 others.
It's been 4 others. And this is a great segue because the 4 other presidents besides Donald Trump who never were elected to public office before they became president is Zachary Taylor, Ulysses Grant, Herbert Hoover, Dwight Eisenhower, and then the 5th, of course, Donald Trump. Great segue because Zachary Taylor, fucking war hero, right? 12th president of the United States. Got into office, picked his vice president. His vice president is who we're talking about today. Millard Filmore. Millard Filmore was his vice president. And part of the Whig Party. One of the leaders of the Whig Party at the time. And Zachary Taylor fucking died immediately. I think he was poisoned. I don't know if he was poisoned, but he died from some bad, some bacteria from some food. So I was wondering, did anyone ever think he was poisoned? Died from some stomach flu, right? Yeah. Is there any conspiracies that he was poisoned? 12th president of the United States, Zachary Taylor. Old Rough and Ready is what they called him because he was a general. Back then, if you were a fucking general, dude, you were going to win. I mean, back then, being a war hero, Zachary Taylor did not die of it. So nobody thinks he died. Nobody did.
It looks like there's a few people who are saying some stuff, but it's kind of a consensus that it was stomach flu.
I would be surprised. Can you imagine that you could just die from a stomach flu back then? Brutes my goods. Brutes my goods. Nowadays, you got a stomach flu, you're like, yeah, all right, let me take a little antibiotics or a little soup and knock that out.
Throw on Netflix and just ride it out.
I got a little stomach flu. Back then, you fucking died from a stomach flu. So he only lasted, a couple months? How long was he in office? He was only in office for like a couple months. And his vice president, who was a real political choice in the sense that Zachary Taylor was a Southern guy. Yeah, he only lasted from March 4th, 1849 to July 9th, 1850. So, not even a year. Not even a fucking year. And so, Zachary Taylor was a real Southern motherfucker from Virginia. And back then, there was, the North, there was a lot of anti-slavery people. That was a big sentiment back then, in the North. And that was, that represented a large part of the vote. So, Zach Taylor chose Millard Filmore to be his vice president to kind of shore up that sort of northern vote, even though Millard Filmore was he was kind of like against slavery, but not really. And that's why we bring up Millard Filmore, because a lot of people think that Millard Filmore is really the best example of a president that you could compare Donald Trump to. Donald Trump and a lot of other people like to say it's a more Andrew Jackson. But the people who think it's Millard Filmore that you can compare Donald Trump to point out that that Andrew Jackson and Donald Trump have very little in common, actually, besides the, expelling of people. But Andrew Jackson was a huge war hero. Talk about war hero. Probably the biggest one of all of them, Ulysses Grant, and then maybe Andrew Jackson and Zachary Taylor. Those are like probably the three biggest war heroes our country's ever had. That's why they became president. Oh, I forgot about George Washington.
Yeah.
He's the biggest. Well, Ulysses Grant, he's an interesting story because he was just like a fucking drunk. Failure in life, and then he found his purpose in the Civil War. Ulysses Grant. We'll do an episode on fucking Grant. But right now, Millard Filmore. So Millard Filmore is an interesting dude from fucking Buffalo, New York. And the reason why they compare him so much to Donald Trump is because he was a conspiracy guy. He got elected. He didn't get elected. He fell in. He fell into being the president because Zachary Taylor died. But he rose to popularity through all these conspiracies. He was like an anti-Freemason, anti-Catholic. After his presidency, which was a complete fucking failure in a lot of ways, he went and joined another party at that time called the Know Nothing Party. It was a real nativist party that was really anti-Catholic. So back then you can kind of compare the sentiment, sort of the anti-immigrant sentiment, to sort of the anti-Catholic sentiment back then. And so he capitalized on that fervor in a lot of ways, the same way Donald Trump capitalizes on the anti-immigrant fervor. He was capitalizing on the anti-Catholic fervor, the anti-Freemasons fervor for some reason. And he really split the party. He was the last presidential candidate or last president, I believe, to be a Whig. The Whig Party was done after him because he split it so much. And the reason he split it is because the Whig Party was like, and the Whig Party eventually became the Republican Party. So the Whigs were really against slavery. But this motherfucker, since he was capitalizing so much on that sort of sympathy for the South and kind of, the darker angels of our nature in America, the anti-Catholic fervor, which was huge back then. Catholics used to be the old N-words, in America. The N-word, it's just so stupid. Everyone knows the word I'm saying, I'm basically saying it without saying it. You know what I'm talking about. But in America, Catholics used to be looked at like that as well. They were really persecuted in a lot of ways, and people hated them, but they rose to power quick. They were savvy, especially in New York City. They got political power, and then, they became cops for some reason. That's just what they wanted. Become caps. So Millard Filmore, the way he really split that Whig Party was he signed into law sort of a new amended, more vicious, more severe, more strict Fugitive Slave Act. This was around, 1850 or something, the second Fugitive Slave Act. And the original Fugitive Slave Act was like 1793 or something. I mean, you know, this is the History Hyenas podcast. I'm not exactly accurate, but 1850, I fucking nailed it. Fugitive Slave Act was passed, and he really pressured everyone. The Whigs in Congress, he really pressured them to go along with this, and this is what really split the party. And so this really is the kind of coup de grace for the Whig Party, because they were so fucking split over slavery, you know? And a lot of Whigs supported this, and that split them. And it was the Fugitive Slave Act. And what made it brutal was that there was like actually bounty hunters now. There was actually like slave hunters who would go, and what made this law different is if you were caught aiding and abetting a fugitive slave, you could get prosecuted. It became a federal crime. Can you look up the details of that? Just the details of the new slave. This is sort of like the reform new slavery, the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850. Yeah, the first Slave Act was 1793, and this was sort of like a stricter, more amended with a whole bunch of. It required that all escaped slaves upon capture be returned to their masters, and that officials and citizens of free states had to cooperate. So abolitionists nicknamed it the Bloodhound Law, because the dogs and the bounty hunters had dogs that were searching for slaves. Now the problem with this is a lot of fucking free slaves were just taken. There was no habeas corpus for this. There was no due process. You know, there was just these rogue bounty hunters running around just capturing black people and fucking putting them on the market in the South. It was brutal. And, you know, there was supposed to be these federal protocols. You were supposed to supply an affidavit to a federal marshal to capture it, but nobody was doing it. And so what happened was, I think Buffalo, New York, is where Willard Filmore was from. He was a beloved son, rose from poverty out of there. You know, was a state representative in New York and Buffalo. But Buffalo was a huge fucking conduit for escaped slaves to make it to Ontario, I think. They would go across the river and escape to Canada. And so this really kind of tore his support apart too. And there was a lot of people who were against him because of this. So this is what he's remembered for, really. And this is what fucking split the Whig Party. And then after that, he joined this nativist party, this fucking crazy, they were called the Know Nothings. And he ran for president again under that party, but he was never heard from again. That was it for him. But that he capitalized on a lot of fears, anti-Catholic, and he was sort of like wishy-washy on slavery. You know, he would say he was against, sort of the same way Donald Trump was sort of like he was a Democrat, then he was a Republican. He's all over the fucking place, Donald Trump. And another huge comparison is as soon as he got into office, he fucking fired, you know. I mean, it's like there's a transition happening. You want to keep those people on for a second. You know, Zachary Taylor dies, vice president becomes president. As soon as he became president, he fired Zachary Taylor's entire cabinet. You fired. He fired the whole fucking cabinet. And it took like months to get, it was a real mistake. And he did it because he had some fucking vendetta with them from when he was vice president. So he had supposedly that sort of same kind of narcissistic personality, was firing people he didn't like, just like Donald Trump, was capitalizing on sort of, you know, conspiracy theories, these anti-Freemason conspiracy theories and anti-immigrant and anti-Catholic specifically fervor. Just like kind of Donald Trump has kind of capitalized on. There's no question he has. I mean, there's no question, that is there already in people. And Donald Trump's kind of winking at him. He's not saying, and that's what Millard Filmore would do. He wouldn't say he was for slavery, but he would kind of fucking wink that, like, hey, I support you guys. I'm not really going to do anything. And one of the big things was the expansion west was happening, and it was the Missouri Compromise, right? Can you pull up the Missouri Compromise? The Missouri Compromise was, the whole purpose of it was to limit the spread of the peculiar institution of slavery in 1820. So this was a long-standing law that prohibited slavery in the new Louisiana Territory. And the Missouri Compromise was repealed by the Kansas-Nebraska Act in 1854. Now, who the fuck was that? Was that Millard Filmore? Because I know, yeah, I think that was Filmore, right?
That made the Kansas-Nebraska Act?
That repealed the Missouri Compromise and allowed slavery to spread. That was Millard Filmore. So he did that shit too, even as a Whig, which was, who repealed the Missouri Compromise? Who did it? Yeah. Well, it was 1854. It was 1854. The compromise. So when did he leave office? This motherfucker. He got in there.
1854.
Yeah, I think it was him, dog. I think it was this fucking guy. Let me take my glasses off. I'm pretty sure. So that's what he did. Yeah, I mean, he joined the Whig Party. And he presented himself as like a loyal Whig, just like Donald Trump joined the Republican Party. And, presented himself as a Republican.
I can't find who repealed it, but it is, effectively repealed by Stephen A. Douglas's Kansas-Nebraska Act. So that's the dude who made the Kansas-Nebraska Act.
Yeah, that's
and
Stephen
I think
Douglas.
it was just choice in Congress or something, and that's what sparked the return of Abe Lincoln.
That's right. Then Lincoln and fucking Stephen Douglas has some debates. They both ran for, they were both in Congress and they ran against each other. And Lincoln won, man. How different would it be if Stephen Douglas won? I mean, shit. Who knows what happened? So that's what Fillmore did. He joined. He presented himself as a loyal Whig, sort of like Donald Trump presents himself as a Republican. But he's all over the place, and I mean, when you look back at his career, Fillmore, it started with this sort of bizarre hostility against the Freemasons, and he just was focused on them, sort of like a conspiracy theory, how they were like, making decisions in a dark room or behind a dark curtain about the country. And he was all into the conspiracy theories, ethnic hatred, and anti-Catholic fervor. And he served 4 terms in the House of Representatives. So that's where he differs from Donald Trump. He differs from Donald Trump in that he did serve in public office. And he energetically supported higher tariffs. That was one thing that he wanted. So that's kind of similar to Donald Trump with his fucking tariff war. He's like, all right, you going to tax us? We going to fucking tax you. So that's another thing. Yeah, and so the thing of the slavery thing is interesting because he pretended to kind of really be opposed to it, but he kind of shunned abolitionists too. So he was really the person that was kind of stretching what the Whig Party believed, because the Whig Party was against it.
You think by any chance that Trump studied Fillmore?
Maybe, I don't know. I mean, Trump talks about Andrew Jackson all the time, But what did Andrew Jackson? He did a lot of good things besides the fucking. I mean, at the time, he was a slaveholder, all that shit. You judge him that way from history, but Andrew Jackson, I think, is viewed by most historians as a successful president for a lot of the things he did. The one horrible thing that he did, of course, was, made Native Americans march to those little, kind of circumscribed Indian areas that are now called reservations and fucking stole their land, and a lot of them.
Trail of Tears, March of Tears, something like that, right?
Yeah, was that Jackson? Can you look that shit up? Yeah, I don't know if that was specifically during Jackson, but I think it could be. He made him do it. So when Filmore was on the ticket with Taylor, he would, like I said, he was seen as a real ticket balancer because he was going to get that sort of northern vote. He had that appeal, but because he wasn't anti-slavery, he would ride the line a little bit. He would still appeal to those Southerners who needed reassurance. This was the zeitgeist. That was really the big issue at the time, was the spread of slavery. And he died. The stomach virus is called cholera, by the way. Cholera? Cholera, yeah. Yeah. So what happened with the compromise here? This is what happened. This is what fucking happened. Henry Clay in Congress proposed a series of bills that came to be called the Compromise of 1850. But it was a lopsidedly pro-slavery package, and Taylor refused it. So Zachary Taylor refused to support it, even though he was from Virginia. The anti-slavery was gaining a lot of power. You can tell in the that's interesting to know that there was a lot of people who were against it, and they were just trying to keep this union together. They were trying to appease the Southerner South. When you're running for political office, you're trying to appease the Southerners, appease their fears, and you also want to appease this sort of anti-slavery sentiment. And a lot of the anti-slavery sentiment was economic-based as well, so it wasn't just moral. But when Taylor died, the pro-slavery forces found themselves a nice, unlikely ally, although wink, wink, they knew he was a likely ally. I think he fucking had him killed. I'm telling you that right now. I think Millard Filmore had Zachary Taylor killed. Because look at what he did when he got in office. A fucking northern Whig from an abolitionist state, New York, in 18 fucking... He was willing to open the Southwest to slavery. So it was him. It was Millard Filmore before the Kansas-Nebraska Act, the Compromise of 1850, passed by Congress and, of course, signed by Filmore, undid the 30-year-old Missouri Compromise, which held slavery in its place and didn't allow it to expand. So that predated the fucking Adams. What's his name? Stephen Douglas. What's the fucking name?
Stephen A. Douglas.
Stephen Douglas. Stephen Adams. It's always a Douglas or an Adams when you look back in history. So that's what happened. That's what happened.
On that same note, it was actually Andrew Jackson and Martin Van Buren that
Trail of Tears?
Yeah. And that was Andrew Jackson's first priority when he took office.
Yeah, he wanted to really, yeah. And he's a multiple war hero, right? He beat the British at one. I think he's responsible for beating the Seminoles and annexing Florida. He killed a lot of fucking Indians, that guy, which is what's brutal. But he also, he's a complicated guy, Andrew Jackson, because he had a lot of successes as well. So we won't know. And Millard Filmore is fucking forgotten. He's considered one of the most useless presidents in history, one of the biggest failures. So we won't know until Donald Trump is either, I don't know, out of office or impeached or whatever the fuck's going to happen, which one he'll be more compared to. But yeah, he annexed Florida. I know that, right? Andrew Jackson's Seminole War. He was and then New Orleans. I think New Orleans was a big battle for him. I think he won that from the British. Just do Andrew Jackson fucking wars, which ones he fought. So he was a big war hero. And so that's why the people who argue that Millard Filmore is the one you can compare Donald Trump to more is because Donald Trump is not a fucking war hero. And Millard Filmore was not a war hero. Millard Filmore was more of a divisive personality, which is what these people who make that comparison between Filmore and Trump consider Trump to be, more of a divisive. So where do you get? Battle of Taga?
Creek War, Battle of Talladega, the big one where he became a real big hero.
This
was the
motherfucker's
War
got a lot of
1812.
rings. He got a lot of rings.
Battle of New Orleans, the Seminole Wars.
Yeah, that's when they annexed, that's when they made Florida part of the United States. They stole it from the Spanish.
The big one was the War of 1812, where he was like a big reason why the United States won. That's where he became a huge war hero.
Yeah, Battle of New Orleans is a big one too. This guy's got a huge war resume, Andrew Jackson.
Yeah.
I mean, he was around since the Revolutionary War. So he's been doing it. He's born in 1967. In North Carolina, between North Carolina and South Carolina, in the Waxhaws region. I don't know what the fuck that is. Somewhere in the South. Became a lawyer, and then he was a fucking war hero. And you're right, yeah. The Battle of New Orleans in the War of 1812 against the British really fucking made him. And he defeated the Spanish and the Seminoles to take Florida. So Donald Trump didn't do no shit like that. And Andrew Jackson wasn't really that divisive. And that's why they argued.
Yeah, he knew who he didn't like. He didn't really sit on the fence about it.
No, and Andrew Jackson was extremely popular. I think, can we look at the landslide? I mean, he was 8 years, I think. He was reelected, and I think it was a fucking landslide. Because I know, and that, you know, it's interesting to talk about it, because it's really, it's been historians and people who think about this type of shit, and I agree, have kind of narrowed it down to two presidents that they compared Donald Trump to. And there's people who are more on the Andrew Jackson fence, which obviously Donald Trump considers himself more like Andrew Jackson. And there's new group of people, Millard Filmore. I see the Millard Filmore more.
Yeah, I can definitely see the Millard Filmore.
So what happened was presidential election 1824. Yeah, I remember this. John Quincy Adams was elected by the House of Representatives after Andrew Jackson won most of the popular and electoral vote, but failed to receive a majority. Interesting.
It's kind of weird because nowadays people win the popular but still lose.
So he won the most popular and electoral votes, but failed to that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and then in the next election, he won. He beat the same guy.
Yeah, so so they gave it, the Congress, the House of Representatives took it away from Jackson and gave it to John Quincy Adams. But that doesn't make any sense. I don't understand that. He won the popular. Can you figure that out? What does that mean? Why did they're saying he won the popular and electoral vote, but didn't get a majority? That doesn't make sense. That doesn't fucking make sense. But anyway, he won the next election by a landslide. By a fucking landslide. As a Democrat, right? Yeah, he was a Democrat. He was a Democrat bad. He was a Democrat. Back then they called them Democratic Republicans. Fucking wild how it's all switched. And then the Whig Party became Republicans and the Democrats became... the Whig Party became Republicans and the Democratic Party just became the Democrats. And the Whig Party disappeared. And so did the Know Nothing Party, which is what Millard Filmore joined after he lost re-election. So that's a very interesting fucking thing. Yeah, the Fugitive Slave Act, also, like we said before, which Fillmore was also responsible for, was brutal, man. It was brutal, and federal commissioners were appointed nationwide, and they were given the power to adjudicate these fugitive slave claims, and they could assemble like these local posses to capture slaves. So it got kind of chaotic. And the law really, like I said, the law, what separated it from the 1793 law, the original law, was that it imposed harsh penalties on anyone caught aiding a fugitive slave, which really appeased his Southern folks, even though he was in a Northern party that was anti-slavery. So just like Donald Trump is kind of stretching what the Republican Party is, because the Republican Party used to be Christian conservative, a free market. Now he's fucking with the market internationally. He wants to impose tariffs. He's fucking wants to lift sanctions on Russia, where the Republican Party is really tough on Russia, has been tough on Russia. So he's really doing a lot of things that are the exact opposite of what the Republican Party traditionally did and traditionally was. So in that way, you can really see a clear comparison to Millard Filmore, who's, like I said, with the Missouri Compromise and with the Fugitive Slave Act, kind of doing the opposite of what his party would want him to do. He was doing more what, the Democratic Republicans would want him to do, which were had a huge foothold in the South.
So we got some of this Andrew Jackson confusion settled. So you need 131 electoral points to be elected president, and this is one of the only inconclusive elections. So no one reached the 131 electoral votes necessary, even though Andrew Jackson had, I think, over 40,000. He had 41.4% of the popular vote, so he won that. But the decision eventually went to the House of Representatives because no one had the necessary electoral votes, and they chose John Quincy Adams.
The son of John Adams. Yeah, from Mass. Look at that count. So he actually had more people. Andrew just said that that's Donald Trump's fucking fantasy, that because he's actually the opposite. He wants to believe he's the people, but he lost the popular vote by a lot, by a couple million.
Yeah, by like 3 million.
Yeah, a lot of people to somebody who people fucking hated. Yeah. I mean, he lost 3 million to Hillary Clinton, and Hillary Clinton's one of the least liked people, just viscerally people don't like her.
Do you think she's coming back? Do you think that it's going to be a rematch?
I mean, if she's the Jason Voorhees and keeps crawling out of that goddamn lake and won't stay dead. 4 more
years of Trump then
it'll be 4 more years. I hope not, to be honest with you. That's my personal opinion, I feel like Trump is a fucking maniac.
It's got to be like Oprah or The Rock. Someone big has to come.
The seal's broken. We're not going back to normal after this.
No.
Nobody's got the attention span for that shit anymore. Some senator went to Yale, been in the House, been in the Senate for 20 years, gets up there, gives his first nomination speech.
That's boring.
Everyone left and right's gonna be like, fucking boring.
We need something spicy.
Yeah, dude. So are you fucking a porn star? Is there hush money?
At least the vice president needs to be like Beyonce or
yeah, something. I mean, we're done. We're fucking done.
Kanye.
Yeah. So after the Democrats won the 1852 election in a landslide, the Whigs vanished from politics, and they became the anti-slavery Republican Party. At the time, Republican Party was vehemently anti-slavery, and then that set the stage for Douglas and Lincoln to go at it years later. About a decade later after that. But this was all building. This was all percolating. And Fillmore, after he lost that election, he went and joined it was called the quote-unquote Know Nothing Party. And he ran as its presidential nominee again in 1856 with the slogan, Americans must rule America. So similar. Yeah. And 5 years later, Americans were ripping America apart. 5 years later, there was a Civil War. So 5 years later after that, there was a Civil War. And a lot of historians, some people, I'm just saying, even me, you could kind of tell that he was a part of kind of, Millard Filmore added, he added sticks to that fire. He contributed to that divide, to that, what made violence inevitable, what made a civil war inevitable. He contributed to that shit with the Fugitive Slave Act, the newer one, the Missouri Compromise, ripping the party apart. the anti-slavery Whig Party. He fucking killed it himself. And as Abraham Lincoln was trying to preserve the Union as he was president, fucking Fillmore was on the sidelines living in Buffalo. I think he became the president of the University of Buffalo or some shit. He was part of the University of Buffalo, which he founded, which is why he's such a controversial figure in Buffalo, because he's behind the University of Buffalo, but he's also a dick. He's a big fucking dick. So he would criticize, with his little fucking writings about Lincoln. So he's just on the wrong side of history. And to make matters even better, he was the 13th president, which is an unlucky number. So he just fucking lives in obscurity now. But, when you look back, a real big part of what American history became is in the destructive personality of Millard Fillmore, who was kind of a wolf in Whig's clothing. Yeah, I just made that up. He was a Southern slave-owning sympathizer in Whig's clothing who became president because Zachary Taylor, the war hero, died. And even though Zachary Taylor was opposed to the repealing of the Missouri Compromise as it stood, Millard Fillmore got in there. He allowed slavery to spread, enacted the Fugitive Act, and then fucking ripped the divide even more. And that's what Donald Trump's doing, ripping the divide open even more. So let us know what you think. Is Donald Trump more like Andrew Jackson or Millard Fillmore? I think based on the facts you could draw, the facts are going to tell you Millard Fillmore. But if you're a big Trump person, which is your fucking right, I don't care. I really don't give a shit anymore about nothing. All I care about is the history of Hyenas. You're probably going to go the emotional route and go Andrew Jackson, even though, like me and Isis just pointed out, there is no real fucking comparison. He's not a war hero. He wasn't extremely popular, and he didn't win the popular vote. So there you have it. Now, before we go, there's one stone we left unturned that I want to know is what were his accomplishments, Andrew Jackson? I want to know because he is considered, I think, so controversial, and I think we should talk about him a little bit because there are a lot of people who think, Donald Trump's like Andrew Jackson. Like I said, most of the person leading that, the biggest cheerleader for that is Donald Trump himself. So what did he do?
A lot of his accomplishments are war related, so he successfully
as president. Go with the as president.
Oh.
Yeah. What did he do? He did some stuff as president. I think Federal Reserve. Yeah, biggest accomplishments as president. Come on, find us a fucking quick one. Major accomplishments. Yeah, we could go to and historical significance. That one might do it. Oh, that's a video though. Yeah. I'm gonna pause this. We'll find it. Hold on. I hit the space bar, right?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. We're back, even though we didn't go anywhere. We were gone. Let's say, imagine we did 20 hours of research. No, we just pulled it up. He was the only president to completely pay off the national debt. So he's the only president to ever do that, to completely pay off the national debt, which was one of his goals. The bad thing that he did was called the Indian Removal Act in 1830. You could kind of say, what's going on, build that wall, get the ice. But, Obama deported a lot of people too. So you can't forget that. So I don't know if there's much of the Indian Removal Act relocated most of the Native Americans in the South to Indian territories. Now they're on reservation. You guys know the story. Trail of Tears. You know the deal. You know the freaking deal. But he definitely opposed the abolitionist movement too, so he was a dick there too. Big dick there. But because he opposed it, I think it probably grew stronger. So you could kind of thank him for being a dick, because I think that really started mobilizing people in a lot of ways. Foreign affairs, he did a treaty with Great Britain that settled the damages against the French during the Napoleonic Wars. And he officially recognized the Republic of Texas They tried to shoot him. Somebody tried to shoot him in 1835. This is the first president to survive an assassination attempt. Yeah, I mean, you know, a Democrat. He's a fucking Democrat. He's a big part of the annexation of Texas, which was accomplished by Martin Van Buren and James Polk, you know, but he was a big part of an advocate for that, and that happened. So he did some good things and he did some horrible things. When you look back at history from now, from the vantage point of where we are now, obviously you say the bad was more than the good. But
one of the greatest feats that kind of goes untouched is he vetoed an act to recharter the institution of banks because he said it was the advancement of the few at the expense of the many.
Yeah, he was a big populist and he hated banks. What did he do? He got it out. He
vetoed a bill that was being passed through Congress.
Yeah. He was he hated the banks. Yeah, I'm reading that right now.
He also first president to get impeached.
They dismantled the banks. Jackson and his allies thoroughly dismantled so he led the effort to reauthorize the second bank of the United States. Henry Clay led the effort to reauthorize the second bank of the United States. Jackson regarded the banks as fucking corrupt, and he vetoed it. You're right. And boom. And after a struggle, he had it dismantled. And he paid off the national debt. So he did some things. But he got impeached. What did he get impeached for, this cat? What did Jackson get fucking impeached for? We're just giving you a little bit of Jackson just because we gave you so much of Filmore. And there's a lot more to Jackson anyway, even though we're not focusing on him. But us focusing on Jackson right now makes it that we'll probably will not cover him again. I mean, there's so much to cover. I mean, God, we're here trying to teach you guys history. I mean, what would you do without us? You know, entertaining you while we teach you history. What do you get impeached for? Ice?
So, actually, we were talking about this, about removing certain office holders. His biggest charge was violating the Tenure of Office Act, which protected certain office holders that he fired without the approval of the Senate.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Tendencies. Those dictator tendencies. That's why the Founding Fathers are so genius, man. Because power corrupts. Absolute power.
Yeah, basically he was getting crazy with his power.
He was trying to get crazy. And thank God we got checks and balances. The genius of those Renaissance men who are our Founding Fathers. You know, their genius crosses party lines, guys. So no matter what you believe, whether you vote red or blue, you got to say the institutions of our government pretty fucking solid. Pretty genius. Shout out to John Locke and all the fucking people that set the stage for our government and constitution. Well, there you have it. Now we move on to the nature aspect. Because look, all of history involves Homo sapiens sapiens. We're nature's little fucking favorite animal. And all of the spirit of the times in history is based on the environment, on nature. We all live in nature. And if you want to know the truth, like Albert Einstein said, if you want to know the truth about anything, everything, life, look deep into nature. Those are where the answers are. So here we go. Some fucking cool. For a change, we're gonna mix it up. We're gonna give you a nice one. This is the first animal video we have shown on this podcast that does not have the murder. There's no murder in this one. This is a feel-good one. Now, this is a video about, at the time, the dog has since passed away, but this dog, this border collie, and border collies are considered to be the smartest of all the dog breeds. They're mainly used for sheep herding. That's what they were bred for, but they're fucking brilliant, these fucking things. I'm saying fucking a lot because that's what I do. And so this was a piece on that dog with Neil deGrasse Tyson. This is cool.
With pride if our dogs can respond to 2 or 3 commands, but what if we haven't begun to understand the possibilities of what the animal mind can really do? Our friend, astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson, is host of Nova Science Now, and he brings us big news from the frontier.
Meet Chaser.
Walk up.
Beloved 6-year-old border collie of psychology professor John Pilley.
Good girl.
John Pilley's like
He
104.
was born to live in the Scottish mountains.
Look how old this guy is.
Tunnel. And herd sheep. Go.
John has taught Chaser to tend an extremely large, if unconventional, herd of 1,000 toys.
And she knows the name of every single one of these?
I hope.
I find this hard to believe, so I test Chaser's memory with a random sampling.
Chaser, find Inky.
Can you pause it real quick? You think Neil deGrasse Tyson, he probably got no puss coming up, but now he's kind of he gets puss.
Yeah, he has to.
He's a charismatic guy.
Yeah.
He's a smart guy, but he's really probably the most media-friendly astrophysicist. Because astrophysicists, they don't really score high on the personality chart usually. But this guy, he's the exception.
Well, I think because usually they're just away solving problems of the earth.
Yeah, and they're always a little, their social skills is when you're in your brain like that all day. But Neil deGrasse Tyson, I mean, he got the
He's an anomaly.
He's an anomaly. Yeah, good word.
Anomaly.
Good word. So anyway, yeah, we can fast forward. So Chaser basically knows 1,000. He knows the names of these toys that are all named, and there's 1,000 of them. That is fucking crazy. To think that a dog, dude, I could not remember 1,000 fucking names.
Yeah. One of the craziest things you've ever said was dogs like herd. I can't herd sheep. You were like, dogs herd sheep. That's fucking wild. I can't do that.
Yeah, I can't do that either. But dogs can fucking do it, and they keep them in a herd, and it's very important. You don't want to fucking stray. You want to keep the sheep together. Fucking wolves are and it protects the sheep because wolves are everything's trying to eat those fucking sheep, and the dogs bark them off. Wild. So this dog Chaser, with his 104-year-old professor owner. Good thing this dog is smart, because if the owner had to walk him, and he was like, if that owner had like a 2-year-old terrier or something, or an energetic dog, he would pull that old man right over and break his hip. So Chaser can walk himself, thank God. So that let the owner live a little longer. So fast forward a little bit to so this is what he does. So basically, he tests them on a few, and Chaser gets them right. And then, you got to go back a little bit. I'm sorry. It's still in here. Yeah. Go back. Yeah. But back to about right there. Yeah.
So we're going to see if she picks out Darwin by inference. Find Darwin.
Pause it real quick. So what he did was he was like, he introduced a toy that she had never seen before, that Chaser had never known, and he named it Darwin. So he just put it back there, and he said, he just put it there. Chaser didn't see it, that he put the toy behind the couch where all the other toys are, and he said, find Darwin. So Chaser has no reference for which toy is Darwin. So what Neil deGrasse Tyson wants to see is if, because he knows the names of all the other toys there, he chooses Darwin because it's the only one that's not the names that he knows. So in other words, the dog goes, this one must be Darwin because all these other ones are not Darwin. And watch with this fucking...
That's some smart fucking thinking.
That's a smart...
The fact that an animal can even do that is...
That shows it's like fucking thinking. Now watch it. This is wild.
I have to ask her again.
Okay, Chaser. Find Darwin.
Darwin! It got Darwin!
She did it. Chaser's never seen that doll before.
That was
yet
a
she
nerd
settled
reaction.
on the one toy she didn't know.
You're a
By
fucking
deduction.
nerd. Bad.
It's similar to the way children learn language. But how does Chaser's ability compare with other species? Besides us, chimps and bonobos are the animal kingdom's top linguists, capable of learning sign language, but very slowly. They can solve some sophisticated problems, but they don't always pay close attention to humans.
When I see my dog wants me to be around. Whereas a bonobo and chimpanzee, they don't need me. They're basically like, hey, you got any food? Can I get any food off of you? They're not interested in making me happy.
Since dogs do like to please us, then humans need to find a way to tap the potential in all of our dogs.
Okay, put in the tub.
And dogs like Chaser are just waiting for us to discover all that they can do.
Smart dog.
So, yo,
And Neil
that's
deGrasse.
basically it. So, basically, the suggestion is, and I think we talked about it, like, in a lot of ways, for our purposes, as far as working with us, dogs are smarter than our closest ancestor. And we already spoke about how close we are to them. Yeah. I mean, 99?
96.
96%. So we're pretty similar, but yet dogs in a lot of ways are smarter, problem solve quicker, because they've just evolved to cooperate with us so efficiently, so efficaciously. And chimps, chimps are just like, what the fuck are you doing around, dude? You know, aren't you?
It's kind of crazy when you think about it. That it's an animal that puts like you before itself, and that's kind of what makes it so smart.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of wild. It's like a dog is basically like a slave to a human, and that's when it feels the most purpose, is when it's like doing exactly what you want it to do. That's what a fulfilled dog is. That's why if you're a dog owner, don't treat your dog like a kid or a person. You want to simulate jobs for the dog based on its personality and its breed. That's what makes a dog living in the amenities of modernity, where you don't need to use. That's going to come up a lot. We may make a t-shirt, amenities of modernity. Yeah, bad. But, if a dog that is not working, but it just you have him as a pet, simulate jobs. That's what fulfills a dog. Even sit, lay down, all that shit is jobs. And that's what fulfills a dog. That's what makes a dog happy, is when it's working for you. Even it doesn't know the difference if it's a real job or simulated. So there you got a little free dog tip from me as well. Now, I think we got one more video. Is that it? Oh, yeah.
This one is not friendly.
And this is how we're going to end it. Because, we do comedy, and then we love to balance it out with a real tragedy, a video that's really tough to watch. Now, again, dogs evolved from wolves. They are direct descendants of fucking wolves. Now, these wolves, unlike dogs, not so friendly. So this is a wolf pack brutally attacking what has become the lowest member of the pack, which is called the Omega Wolf. And they run up on him bad. Now, there's the Omega Wolf just chilling. You could he sense it. Here comes the leaders of the pack. The alphas. Oh, there's 4 alphas just surrounded the Omega for no reason. They're just surrounding him. One of them took a bite. Now they're just surrounding him. And now the rest of the pack. Oh, now they start fucking him up. Now they're biting. And the rest of the pack follows and all the pack runs over and starts fucking him up. Oh, it's brutal. You can hear it. They're not laughing. Those aren't laughs. Oh, God. The whole pack is now biting the Omega Wolf, the lowest wolf, because he has been deemed the weakest. Oh, nature is fucking brutal, dude. He's trying to fight back. There's too many of them. Gee, it's so hard to watch. Swipe it, yeah. It's so hard to watch. But you gotta watch it because this is nature. Oh, God. It has a purpose. His weakness slows the pack down. It's that harsh to survive. That's what reality is. These wolves are not propped up by the amenities of modernity.
That was a good way to bring it all around.
Oh, God, it's tough to watch. He's just getting jumped. He's pushed up against the fence.
He really is looking for some sort of way out.
He's trying to get out, but he's surrounded, and he's just getting bit up. Now, those are wolf bites. Those are not fucking... When it's your birthday, you get birthday punches. Those are not Charlie horses. Those are wolf bites. So the video ends. We don't know what happens to the wolf, but I can guarantee you it's not good.
Yeah.
I don't think they made up. I don't think they shook paws and made up after that. I mean, he just took maybe about, 30 to 40 wolf bites all over his body. So he's in bad shape.
And even if he survives, you're just going to hang out with the people who just jumped you?
Yeah, no, they're going to leave his ass. And then, that's fucked up because there's a new wolf that becomes the Omega, and you're like, fuck, now it's my turn. But I don't know. I don't think they do. I think they only do that when they deem that the wolf is like really, really weak, and they just gang up on them. So whenever you see kids in like a playground and they like start bullying a kid, that shit is in us.
That kid is weak.
That kid is weak, and it's in us. It's just in us, and it's brutes, magoots. Of course, we're human, so we got to use reason more. And reason is not does not come naturally to us. We're not a reason. We're an emotional species. We're a species that responds to instincts and emotions to survive. So reason is something that you have to turn on. You have to be taught to be logical and reasonable. And whenever people says have faith, or I'm like, no, have fucking reason. I believe in reason. Faith is fucking scary. ISIS is fucking works on faith. He blows people up. Bang! Anyway.
Only if it's reasonable.
Only if it's reasonable. So, behalf of Trash Monkey, Chrissy Pseudo Tit, who's not here, Zach Isis, myself, thank you for listening to the History Hyenas podcast. We do have new members. Wow, we've been going long. When Chrissy's not here, you know what the problem is? I talk too long. That's the great thing about Chrissy.
It gets wild.
Chrissy keeps it shorter, which is good, because we are fucking wild. So because I kept it wild, you're not gonna get any fucking Patreon episodes. But me and Chrissy will double up or quadruple up on Patreon episodes. Those are special episodes for our Patreon members only. Go to Patreon, sign up, patreon.com/BayRidgeBoys. Join our channel. $1 a month, $5 a month. You're supporting us. You get the bonus podcasts, which there are a ton of, a backlog of, that if you're just listening for free, just go fucking sign up. Support us for $1 a month. You get to listen to all those extra episodes. Plus, we're going to be posting all types of crazy content. If you recommend 5 friends and prove it to us, and you get 5 of your friends to start listening to History Hyenas podcast, Chrissy DiStefano will come to where you live and suck your dick. And I'll send you an autographed photo. But here are the new members of our, you know what it is now? Fucking cackle. Our matriarchy, but our cackle as well. Thank you for joining us. Here we go. Jonathan Gerardo. He's Italian. Is that Italian? Jonathan Gerardo? Girardi.
That's it. That
Gerardo?
sounds Italian.
Yeah. Dr. Nick. Finally, Dr. Nick signed up. Fucking, did we read these already?
Is that the guy that Chris sent
That's
his
the
shit
ass
to?
doctor.
Oh,
Yeah.
very cool.
No, yeah. These are these old? This is from June 14th. He sent it to me. What are we in? July?
Yeah.
These are fucking old. Where's the
we're
new
in
one?
July.
Where's Bardo? Where's the fucking new ones, Bardo? He sent them to me.
Where's Bardo?
Dude, Bardo is on some sort of... did we do these ones? Big Relio, Ken Marshall, Spencer Carlson, Jason, Jackie Mustafa, Shannon McNamee, Brian Wisniewski, Henry Sardanas, Tom Hendricks. I don't think we did those.
I don't think so.
But you just got your fucking name, Brett. So there you go. We've been long already, and I'm just double checking to make sure that that's the latest. I don't know. We'll get it all straightened out when Chrissy's back next week. So I'll be at Uncle Vinny's, Point Pleasant, New Jersey, in August on the 8th to the 11th, and me and Chris will be together at the Borgata in Atlantic City from the 5th to the 8th. So August 5th to the 8th, me and Chris will be at the Borgata in Atlantic City. From the 9th to the 11th, we'll be at Uncle Vinny's. That's a fun August. So if you live in Jersey, come out to either one of those. Check me out alone at Uncle Vinny's, or both of us at the Borgata. We love you, and we'll speak to you fucking next time. Cackles out!